This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, and the lead stories are Google's censored search engine for communist China, Facebook and weaponizing of social media, MoviePass hanging on by a thread, and finally, solid-state drive price wars. I want to welcome you to episode 1302 of the Geek News Central podcast for Thursday, August 2nd. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today at geeknewscentral.com/insider by becoming a Geek News Central insider, or simply paypal.me/geek news. You can always pick up Ohana gear at cafepress.com/Ohana store. Hey, I want to give a warm welcome to all the brand new listeners, those of you who are checking out the show for the very first time. Thanks for being here. I'm just absolutely pleased to have you as part of the audience. And of course, all of our longtime listeners, those of you who've been here since a millennia, I want to thank you for your continued support as well. But for those of you that are brand new to the show, let's see if I can push the right button here. Oh, what's going on? We'll get ready to get this up for you. I have the wrong window. The wrong window loaded tonight. And let me get this fixed. I tell you, this is what happens when I don't check every setting. All right, now we're good. All right, so if you take time, get over to geeknewscentral.com. You can get subscribed to the show right on the right-hand column of the website via Apple Podcasts on Android, via email, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. We're really wherever you listen to content. And we've got a few more to talk about too, but those are places where on your mobile device, you can get subscribed to the show and never miss a single episode. And it's really critical that you do that. That's the best way to stay connected with the show. That's how you really join the Ohana here, join the family of listeners, is by getting subscribed. Of course, a little bit further down on the website, there's a link to the newsletter as well. The newsletter contains everything I'm going to talk about during the show. It's the same exact information that's found on the blog post, but you get it in email. That way you'll have it forever. You can go back and link to the great content later on. We want you to visit Geek News Central daily. And when you're over on the website, lots of great articles being put up by my writing team. So lots of stuff there. Some stuff about multiplayer is up. Something about Fortnite. This is totally ironic. It'll come a little later in the show, but I got a little story to share about Fortnite. I think some of you are going to laugh at me a little bit, but more on that later. But visit the site on a regular basis. That's what we want you to do. Hey, you can stay connected here. Really, we're live at live.geeknewscentral.com. And of course, we've got our Mastodon chat server as well at geeknews.chat. That's a great place to get connected with the Ohana. You can email the show if you ever got a comment. That's the easy way to go. geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at geeknews. We've got a Slack channel too. All kinds of ways to interconnect here. Just drop me an email if you want to be on the Slack channel. You can follow me on Google Plus or Facebook. You can watch the show on the Roku via the Tech Podcast channel or on your Apple TV. You can listen on Stitcher or Blueberry.com. If you've got a smart home device, like an Amazon device or a Google Home device, or even the Microsoft Cortana device, you can just use the keyword to launch those apps to be listening to you, or those devices to be listening to you, and tell them to play the podcast Geek News Central. That's going to get you 95% of the way there on all three of those. Hey, partner shows include No Better Than Average the Gadget Professor with Mr. Don Bain, the Pro Gear site, written by the GNC team, the New Media Show with my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee, and the Podcast Legend Show, which I am going to be getting on the air again. I'm going to be doing some episodes, so more on that soon. But all this would not be possible without our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. We want you to continue to support our sponsor here. GoDaddy is the longest running continuous sponsor of a podcast. This is the show. Been with us since June of 2005. And we and I And you should appreciate their continued support of this show. And I hope that you'll reward them by taking some time and just, going over and checking out my offers. If you're thinking about a domain name, if you're thinking about a website, if you're thinking about launching a business, if you need some professional internet-based services, GoDaddy has a full line of stuff. If you're just looking to sell a domain name, which I've got someone actually finally interested on the longest held domain I've got, hafadai.com, HAFAADI.com. Many of you that listen from Guam, you know what that means. Yes, I'm the owner of that domain. But even if you're selling a domain, you can save some money getting signed up for the auction services and so forth, whether it be 30% off new product purchases, whether it be a 99cent.com, whether it be $1 a month economy hosting with a free domain. That's $1 a month for 12 months. You get a domain that's $8.49 in value. So really, you get your hosting just for nothing. And of course, there's $1 a month managed WordPress hosting. Love this offering. First year again with a free domain. $1 a month, $12, and you're in there. For you business owners, you might want to, make it a little easier to get a site up and running or revamp a site that you have existing. All the options are good here for you. All those you can attach shopping and carts with. Of course, you can also go with the website builder, GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal business to business plus plans. All my codes, and this is an important thing, I want you to share my codes with your friends, family members, people that you know, people that you trust, people that you love, people that you like to ensure save money. Share my codes with them. That's the same thing as making a donation to the show, is when you share a code with a friend or family member and they use the code, that is exactly the same as write me a check. So definitely share my promo codes with your friends and family members, people that you know, coworkers and so forth. Tell me you know this guy. He's got a podcast out in Hawaii. I love his show. So definitely do that. And if you personally are thinking about picking something up, definitely consider GoDaddy. We want you to do that. Keep them happy. So it keeps me happy. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Thanks to GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. So what is going on? This week has been like, it's gone. I mean, it's been boom. It's crazy. I've been doing nothing but follow-ups all week from Podcast Movement, meaning boom, 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 one after the other. It's been a week of catch-up. I think I had 3 hours in a row. Every 30 minutes, I had a new client on the phone. So now I've had all the meetings. Now I got, a dozen proposals to write and responses and strategies to come up with and new partnerships to form. It's big. It's big and busy. So that's good. That's what this week has been. And I'll probably be working all weekend, just getting everything wrapped up and sent back out to the folks that I spent time on the phone with. But I've also been thinking about this show. We're here at 1,300 episodes. In October, you just think about it. In October will be 14 years. Officially done the show, working on year 15. And so I'm thinking about some new things to do for the show and ways to build continued support. We've got the Insider program. Matter of fact, one of you sent me an email and said, Todd, I tried to update my donation from $2 to $5 and it didn't work. So I need to go in and figure out what's going on the Insider page. That needs some attention. But really, I'm thinking about some additional sponsor initiatives, some things that we can do on Geek News Central Prime to help you guys save money, put some stuff up there that you can use on a regular basis. And really, it's this microeconomy, right? Relationship with airlines, car dealers, that kind of stuff. If you guys just come to the website and click through on some of these deals that we're going to put together, it's that microeconomy. Little by little, this audience, and it doesn't cost you nothing at all to click on that link, but you do make a direct action to support this show me, the family, keeping the lights on, so forth through those initiatives. So we're going to be doing more of that on the website to diversify income streams and everything else that's going on here. So it's just, I was out at Podcast Movement, was listening to some things some folks were doing out there. I was like, wow, that makes sense. So it's kind of like teaching a old dog new tricks. So yes, Rita, GoDaddy helps keeps besides my keeps food on the table, keeps the lights on. So anyway, Rita, thanks for joining us tonight on live. If anyone's on YouTube, make sure you say hello. Definitely appreciate you being with us tonight for sure during the show. All right, so let me, as a reminder for those of you that are on YouTube, we're live.geeknewscentral.com is where that page is at. You can, if you're on the YouTube live page, that's fine too, but there's a chat room at live.geeknewscentral.com. So that's the crux of things. And to be honest with you, Saturday's new media show, I've actually kind of put off thinking about it a little bit. But tomorrow, I'm actually going to have to make a list. I'm going to have to write down the things I want to talk about. It's going to be a monster show, and you're going to get so much insight. If you're even have an inclination of trying to track and trying to stay abreast of this ride we've all been on since October of 2004, I'm here to tell you the show Saturday is probably going to be a whopper. It really, really will be. There's a lot of stuff to go through, a lot of perspectives, backroom discussions that we'll probably talk about. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. So you can join us on Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Yes, do you know I get up at 4:30 in the morning on a Saturday? Yes, call me freaking insane. I get up at 5:30 in the morning to do a show that starts at 6 a.m. All right, I want to get into some content today, and I saw something the other day that just really, it's kind of soapbox time. We haven't done soapbox time in a while. Kirk, pull the soapbox out, pull it over here. Well, let me step up on this thing. And the headline I read was that Google was working on a censored search engine for China. Now, let me this is Google, an American company who believes in free speech and information for all, is building a censored search engine for China. And the scope of things, that is wrong on so many different levels. It just rubbed me absolutely the wrong way. And it leaked. This leaked that they were building on this. Google's been condemned for supporting state censorship following reports that it's working on this mobile search app that would block certain search terms and allow it to re-enter the Chinese market. Apparently, Google's been working on this that would leave out content blacklisted by the Chinese Communist government, according to a New York Times report citing two unnamed people familiar with this matter. Such blacklisting would allow the company to reverse its move out of the country 8 years ago due to censorship and hacking. The Intercept was involved and first reported the story, saying the Chinese search app was being tailored for the Google-backed Android operating system. The service was said to have been shown to Chinese government communist officials. Google didn't respond for comment, didn't respond to this at all. Now, not only that, but it's being said that Google's also working on a censored news app. Yes, an app that would censor the news. You have got to be kidding me. We have an American company building a censorship search platform for the communist Chinese government. What do you guys think about that? I'm serious. What do you guys think of that? Just think about that for a little bit. I know it's a big market, growing market, lots of dollars, but really? We already, in this country right now, have calls for censorship on political discussion. Campuses are not allowing or canceling speaking by individuals that may not follow the political doctrine of a university. We're having people call for censorship here in the United States to silence voices. That's a very, very scary thing. It's a very slippery slope here. What we're really going through here is a modern version of book burning. It's very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. All tyrannies that arise in civilization burn books, suppress knowledge, and only allowed approved opinions to exist. If you think about that, you know what happened prior to World War II. Voices were squelched. It started that way, right? People were beat down for expressing their opinion. It's very troubling to me. I'm very much okay. We may not like what someone has to say, but in my opinion, they have the right to say it. Now, if they invoke violence, if they want to do that, they do that on their platform, on their soapbox. But as long as people have discussions and opinions that don't invoke violence, hatred, all this stuff that really is frowned upon and is not acceptable in today's society, I think we have to be really, really careful here. And a lot of this is from this political division we're having in the country, and it is what it is. But when I hear Google is working on a censored search engine for China, I shudder. I really shudder. We know the Chinese government suppress information. We know that already. That's a fact. But why does Google have to help them suppress knowledge and suppress information and suppress links back to websites that give people the ability to think and be able to invoke change in their countries? Why would they do this? To me, it's just fundamentally really, really wrong. Do no evil? Bull crap, Google. This is, in my opinion, as evil as it gets. And it's very, 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 very disturbing, in my opinion. On top of that, very compelling article in the New York Times. I normally don't read that rag. Be honest with you. But for once, there was a halfway decent article. If I can read in between the lines of the political spewing of the writer, and it's talking about Facebook And I think there's just a really good a real good quote here, and I'm scrolling down the page. I must not have used my New York Times quota for the month already, but when someone says, okay, the company's in a post about the latest disinformation campaign. And of course, we know that they killed like 32 pages on the website and so forth. The company said about security challenges, we face determined, well-funded adversaries who will never give up and constantly changing tactics. It's an arms race, and we need to constantly improve too. The arms race metaphor by this author is a good one and how she responds to it, but not for the reasons Facebook intended. Facebook, as well as Twitter and Google's YouTube, have become the digital arms dealer of the modern age. That quote to me is like, wow. Facebook, as well as Twitter and Google's YouTube, have become the digital arms dealer of the modern age. You know, these companies began with this great credo to change the world and do good and do no evil. But by weaponizing pretty much everything that could be weaponized, they've mutated communications, and they've really weaponized social media. They've weaponized the First Amendment. They've weaponized civic discourse. And I know this is probably a little unfair, right? Because we're all the users of these services, and we're the our fingers are doing the typing and sending out the blast right and left and making this, raising hell, right? Unfollowing, muting people for 30 days. So in the context that bad characters are doing stuff in there to manipulate all of us, we have our own little stuff going on in between us, the right, the left, the middle, the hard right, hard left. That's all going on. And this is what social media has become, is like a weapon. And so there's some stuff in this article I don't agree with, but I do agree with that they've weaponized social media. I thought, wow, that's really good. It's a really good piece. In that kind of like that quote, that little paragraph of information here. And so this one is an interesting one. If we think about this, and I think that's why some people have had enough. This is why I walked away, and basically the only thing I was doing on Facebook, really for a while, was going to my podcast support pages, going into those areas, doing technical support, interacting with our customers, and really trying to stay out of the news feed, because the news feed was making me sick. It really was. It's cause for concern. The psychiatrists, you guys ought to be like booming business. You ought to be rocking it right now. Because of all this insanity that's going on. So I just thought this was interesting. And on top of that, the Senate's warning tech companies on foreign interference. Time is running out. And that was the message from Senator Jack Reed, a Democrat from Rhode Island, on Wednesday. And the subject hearing, which came 96 days before the midterm, was about foreign influence operations and their use of social media platforms and the weaponization of those platforms. And I thought, whoa, they're running out of time. And I've read some articles where the discussion isn't like YouTube isn't about kitty cat stuff no more. Now it's about this, everything that's going on that's bubbling underneath that's causing all the problems, and them having to, censor hate speech and everything everywhere is out of control. And the flood of fake content is really, and if you think about fake content, what is fake content? Fake content's propaganda, right? And it's coming from everywhere. It used to be in the old days, what would we have? A newspaper, black and white TV, very controlled lines of communications. You talked about it with your neighbors, but there wasn't a discussion going on with someone halfway across the country, and the message could be controlled within the ecosphere. Now you've got everybody playing the game, right? You can be a 13-year-old in his underwear in some country stirring up the pot on Facebook and putting out propaganda. And is this now the new national security threat? If we think about this for a little bit, with the evolution of social media and the influence techniques people are using, is this more dangerous than nuclear arsenals? That's something to think about a little bit, right? Are we all being manipulated? And as I heard something on the news today, they were asking, is this targeting Republicans? Is this targeting Democrats? And no, they're just trying to cause chaos amongst us. And I thought, so if they're trying to cause chaos amongst us, no matter what your political leanings are, you can't point it because they want a Republican in office or they want a Democrat in office. It's no, if they're causing chaos, they just want us to lose focus on the ball on what's going on in the rest of the world. Now, I'm just taking a cursory look at this. All right. Just talking today about some stuff that's bubbled up the top in the last 2 or 3 days that I saw in the news, tech related, social media, all this stuff. If you want a deep dive on this, my friends over at No Agenda, Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak, they break this stuff down in a way that I really can't. And I might lose some of you to them. The best 2 hours and 45 minutes in podcasting right now, I think, because they're equal opportunity bashers on the political news front, and they will talk about stuff that you have not heard that'll never make it to your news stream. You'd be like, what? Where did this happen? How come the news didn't report on that? Well, they're too focused on this minutia and pointing fingers to figure out what's really happening in the world. So have we been affected by this weaponization of social media? I think so, because we're losing the ball on what's going on around the globe in a big way. So I come off the soapbox here, but I thought that if anything, I get you guys to thinking a little bit about this. You guys know already. You're sick of this already too, as much as I am, right? We're all sick of this stuff. I can't even turn on any of these 3-letter. I can't listen to MSNBC. I can't listen to CNN. I can't listen to Fox. I can't listen. None of that crap. I can't listen to it. I really can't. It's the same every minute of every day. I wouldn't want to be in that business. If I was in that, you think about the shrink bill that those networks are going to have for all those people that are doing this day in and day out. How could you even go home and live? It gets to me. I can't even imagine. Burnout. You're going to watch. Major news people are going to be like leaving that business. They're going to be used car salesmen because they're going to be completely, absolutely, utterly burned out, or they'll be psycho deranged. Oh man. So anyway, I've had fun with this topic. Let me move on here. I got a lot of stuff to get through, but I'm on a roll tonight, so let's go. Okay. Hey, Paul. Thanks for coming on. Uh, yeah, I do. I do look at the comments, but not as they scroll by. um, MoviePass. If you got a MoviePass, you better be going to movies a lot and getting your money's worth out of this thing because it's shaky ground. But they've come out with a very defensive statement. We're still standing. The company has changed once again its terms of service. You don't get unlimited movies now. No, any theater, any movie, any day. Now it's just movie time, and you get some movies that aren't so popular. It's no longer a 10-month all you can watch movie service. And it ran out of cash. They had to borrow $5 million. And so you can go to some movies. They may have been in the box office a couple of weeks. I'm going to use mine this weekend. I'm going to go see a couple of movies. Some just whatever, nothing that's like mainstream. And I wait for the good stuff to maybe come down in price or come off high demand, and then I'll go in a couple of weeks. It's still faster than getting it on pay-per-view, right? So, they're saying 6% of total box office sales have been related to MoviePass, and that's why they had to borrow $5 million. Okay, SSDs, solid state drives. They've been expensive for a while. I remember like a 2 terabyte SSD, we were paying big money for them. And Paul, we're at live.geeknewscentral.com. Links are all at geeknewscentral.com for the live. It's solid state drives are beautiful devices. And if you've got some old computers laying around that are kind of end of life and they've still got spinners in them, the price wars are on. We saw Amazon sell 120 gig Kingston SSDs for $28 earlier this week. And that deal went away. But there's 2 other 120 gig budget SSDs now available as well. The PNY CS900 and the Silicon Power S55 is now $27. These are only 120 gig drives. They're not big drives. Okay, but if you look at the incremental price from 120 to 240, 480, like my Mac Mini back here that I replaced, this weekend I will be putting an SSD in it, in the one that it's got some issues, and see if that kind of brings it back to life. And if it does, Shoko needs another desktop, so I'll put a monitor on it, and she'll be good if it works the way I think it's going to work. Get a few more years worth of use out of it. So this is like an instant upgrade for $30 for most of your computers. So, SSD has been remarkably high for a long time. It's nice to see the price come down. What you can do is you buy 120 gig SSD to run the operating system and some of all the major programs, and then use an external drive to store stuff or use the cloud or whatever to store your media. There's really, unless you're putting a whole bunch of big apps on, 120 gigs get you quite a ways down the road when it comes to some of the Adobe stuff and stuff that you may use on a machine that you actually need a physical program to actually be on the system. It's pretty amazing though, as we've moved here, as things have changed. I just use now the 10 terabyte drive strictly for storage, a long-term storage. And don't even have the drives plugged in all the time because I don't need to put stuff consistently on there or have them spinning. And video is done on I do video right on the desktop, so it's not a big deal. But anyway, that's what's going on. I have a link in the show notes on that. All right, if you've cut the cord or you have cut the cord, and no, if you're thinking about cutting the cord or you have and you're not satisfied with your current offerings out there, CNET's got a pretty good article online today talking about best live TV streaming services for cord cutters. YouTube TV, I'm a big fan. But Sling TV is a good one. Matter of fact, I've been hearing good things about that. Starting price is $25. Step up packages are as high as $40 or $45. There are some missing channels that you can't get, and so forth. YouTube TV, I think, so. And I like the both. That's what we're using right now. But it's missing A&E, Comedy Central, Food Network, HGTV, History, Lifetime. But it's pretty good. It's available in 99 markets. It's not nationwide. But Google's a little late on this, but I do like what they've done there. DirecTV Now is another one. Starting package is $40. You can go up progressively, $55, $65, or $75, but it's cheaper than that $220 cable bill that you've got right now. And you're going to cut down. Of course, you got Hulu as well. So this has got some great reviews, and it tells you what you get and what you don't get. Tell me simultaneous streams. I like YouTube TV because we can have 3 streams going, 2 televisions and one handheld device, tablet. You can also, figure out how much it's going to cost you to get HBO and those add-ons. So, and the devices that it'll work with. So this is a good takedown right now of what's currently available out there for live TV streaming and what's on the market for you. All right. Apple's also working with the Chinese. They're working with their carriers to reduce spam. I guess in China, iMessage spam is a big problem. And same thing in India. Of course, I don't think we have too much of that going on here. The bigger problem I have here in the United States right now is being called by the IRS inspector. Actually, for the last 2 days, I've been being called by my car insurance. My car extended warranty has run out. That's I haven't had a warranty. I got 203,000 miles on a 2009 Mazda CX-9. That warranty is done gone. These guys are in Google groups and they're going crazy. I got to turn the speaker down on the monitor. You guys are hearing that beep beep in the background. But anyway, iMessage a big problem, and basically India has basically said, you fix this, let us run some sort of a app to combat this, or you're going to be banned from the market. And Apple had to relent. So we'll see what happens in China, because they've been receiving message for illegal content such as gambling and porn. I heard right now that the Chinese are going to Cambodia, I believe, or they're going big into Cambodia for gambling. I guess that's where the poor people go versus going to Macau. But so I guess the Chinese love to gamble. It tells you that the rich are making a lot of money over there if they have money to go gamble. But anyway, so Apple's working with them. Here's something that kind of caught my attention today too, is if you are with AT&T or Verizon and you're a DSL customer, you are absolutely getting ripped off. AT&T and Verizon charge $50 a month for 1 meg service with DSL customers. So there's a white paper out from the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, a broadcast advocacy group, that says AT&T's been charging $60 a month for services between 6 and 10 megs downstream and 0.6 and 1 megs upstream. The white paper also notes that AT&T's advertised price for July 2018 also charges $60 a month for 50 megs and 75 megs download tiers for their fiber service with symmetrical upload and download speeds of 100. So you're paying the same exact amount if you are on DSL or if you are on fiber with AT&T, and even though you have completely different speed levels. Kind of dirty, right? So they haven't upgraded you're on DSL with AT&T. They haven't upgraded your network. You can't get fiber. So they're charging $60 for that dismal service. And those of you that are on fiber that have a good connection, they get 50 to 75 megs or 100 megs symmetrical. You pay $60 too. just because you have a fiber and they have the DSL line. Verizon, same type of deal. AT&T didn't dispute any of the specific prices, but called the report misleading. They say attempting to assess internet service offerings by only looking at standard rate does not give a complete picture. The internet service market is more competitive than ever, and most customers make their purchases at bundled and discounted rates. The claims made in this report are completely misleading and do not reflect all options available to consumers. Well, not really. If you don't bundle, if you just buy internet only, and you don't need your bundled cable or who needs a bundled telephone line? We all have one of these mobile devices now, right? You don't need a bundled telephone line. You don't need bundled security. You don't need a bundled cable TV package. You just need the internet. So there's a whole price breakdown on there on the website. It gives you all of their current pricing and just goes to show you the disparity in speed if you're on DSL. The DSL customers, I'm just telling you right now, you're getting screwed. You probably already knew this, but I just thought it was interesting. All right, the FCC, man, this is a big win. FCC is sided with Google Fiber over the Comcast with the new pro-competition rules. It's all about one touch make ready. We've talked about this on the show many times over the years. It's basically Google comes into Comcast territory. They want to hang fiber on Comcast poles. Comcast, oh no, you need to do all this minutia, and with 60 to 90 days or 6 months, we'll get ready to move our gear so you can put stuff up there and co-locate. Well, the FCC has basically said that these new one-touch made-ready rules will let companies attach wires to utility poles without waiting for the other users of the pole to move their own wires. Google Fiber says its deployment is stalled in multiple cities because Comcast and AT&T take a long time to get poles ready for new attachers. The Comcast urged the FCC, obviously, to reject this, but the FCC, with their current commissioners, said, we're not having it. They said for a competitive entrant, especially a small company, breaking into the market can be hard, if not impossible, if your business plan relies on other entities to make room for you on those poles. They still have to pay rent. Today, a broadband provider that wants to attach fiber or other equipment to a pole must first wait and pay for each existing attacher to sequentially move existing equipment and wires. This can take months, and the bill for the multiple truck rolls add up. For companies of any size, pole attachment problems that represent one of the biggest barriers to broadband deployment. And now with them wanting to add a 5G equipment to the poles and so forth, this rule is going into effect for any Comcast or any pole that's owned by the provider in states that follow the FCC rules. There's 30 states that are governed by the FCC and 20 that are not. And but this does not include rules for city and municipalities and states that own poles. This one-touch rule is only for incumbents that have the pole and you want to get in there and compete by hanging on their poles. So good win for startups and so forth. Apple, well, they're now a $1 trillion company. How many of you, including me, are thinking about the time when we could have bought that stock really cheap? Could have, should have. And I know one guy, a friend of mine, he bought all that stock early. He bought a bunch when it was cheap. I mean, a bunch. I remember he's a sailor friend of mine. He's on the airplane talking about, you got to buy the stock, Todd. You got to, and I just like poo-pooed him. He's rich and retired. I mean, rich. And oh, man. In the chat room, Paul says, what do you think of Lance Armstrong's podcast called The Move, which shot up to the top 3 sports on Tuesday? I don't follow that stuff, Paul, to be honest with you. I don't follow Apple Podcasts. And that's not a show that I would personally listen to be honest with you. And I don't watch the iTunes ranking chart at all, ever. Be honest with you, I could care less about it because 95% of people that are listening to podcasts today are recommended and loaded on their app. They never go to the app. They never load iTunes and look at the iTunes chart ever. It's for folks that are on the top 10 list or whatever, they get all excited and have bragging rights. But to me, it doesn't mean anything. But as you said, he's clawing his way back from infamy and coming off as a pretty interesting, insightful guy. Oh, good for him. He's been out of the space a little while. Maybe people are going to forgive him. Okay, so anyway, $1 trillion company on Apple. Congratulations. All right, I want to talk about Fortnite. I was hanging out, and a couple of people were looking at a screen, and I walked over, and what are you looking at? And this video was playing. I'm like, what's that? And you don't know about this? I said, I have no idea what that is. It's Fortnite. And I'm like, what's Fortnite? And everyone's looking at me like, what planet do you live on, right? And I'll be honest with you. I don't game. So I had no clue. I came home and asked my son, I said, Chris, do you know about Fortnite? He said, oh, yeah, let me show you, Dad. So my kid knows about Fortnite. And so I had to laugh because it was just kind of this comedy of errors because one of the writers at Geek News Central put an article up on Fortnite, and I was oblivious to it. Jen did. But apparently parents are paying for Fortnite tutors. And for those of you that were as clueless as I was, it's created by Epic Games. It's an open world survival game. I'd probably get into it, where players must collect resources, weapons, fight against other players, and try to stay alive for as long as possible. And the game becoming more popular, Fortnite released its Battle Royale. Again, I don't play, if I did any of this, if I played any of these games, I would be, it wouldn't be good. I don't have enough time as it is. But, so people are making a lot of money on playing Fortnite on Twitch. $500,000 a month. That's some cash. Holy cow. And, but anyway, I guess you have to pay. Do you pay one time or, I don't know. I don't know what their business model is. So, those of you that know what Fortnite is, then, you can laugh at me, but I absolutely had no clue. I really didn't. Paul asked me what ranking chart is. I don't pay attention to any ranking charts. We really, I work with 75,000 podcasters, Paul. So to me, the ranking charts mean nothing. I work with individual shows and we don't care about, I really don't care about the podcast ranking charts. It's something that we don't pay attention to. Not as hosting providers, we don't. We're not a content company. We're a service company. So for me, I'm sure if you're in the content business, if you are a company that is creating shows, that's probably a very important thing to you. But for us, it's really not at all. Again, most podcast listeners get their information about listening to podcasts from their friends and family members and people that share and say, hey, listen to this cool show. All right. Or they discover it via coming to the website, say, oh, this guy's got a podcast. Let me check it out. All right. Everything you could want is packed in a new smart wallet. And I'm looking at this smart wallet. It's pretty compelling. I got a cool little promotional video for it. And it's got all kinds of stuff. It's got a battery in it. It's got GPS in it. It's got a mobile hotspot in it. It has the ability to, this is a wallet we're talking about, a men's wallet that goes in your back pocket that basically will alert you if you've left your phone or if you've left your wallet somewhere. It will, if you go out of range, it'll alert you on your mobile device. And if someone opens your wallet, it'll actually take their picture. And I thought, wow, this is kind of cool, kind of geeky, kind of nerdy. It's kind of something that I would consider buying. It's called the Volterman, Volterman, and it has an app available for Android. But again, and it does wireless charging, or it's got a little cord you can pull out and get a single charge for a mobile device. It's got a 2600 mAh battery. It's going to set you back $169 if you want one. And I'll have the link up in the show notes, of course, for you to check out. Facebook is putting $4.5 million into helping the news industry. Well, I guess they're trying to help legitimate news folks, because all of the bad actors and foreign players of the bin has been providing the news to Facebook at this point. Of course, we know that social network's last quarterly profit was more than $5 billion, so $4.5 million into helping the news industry is kind of like a rounding error. Is it like spare change that they throw in a cup? They're saying the social network would emphasize local news, but the company's been beset by criticism. But they're going to help the news industry by noting to a fund for a nonprofit newsrooms and kicking off a program to help publishers that need membership to make money. Okay, so hey Zuck, hey Zuck, I get done bashing you, but hey, how about Geek News Central? You throw me $100,000 and $100,000 a year, and I'll produce a couple extra shows a week for you. News and information and tech, and give you a very, very unbiased opinion of what's happening in the space. So, yeah, I think that's good. Well, let me sign up for that. I have no idea how you get in this, but how do they do that then? How do they divide that money up? Are they going to take $2.25 million and give it to conservatives, and $2.25 and give it to liberals? Because there's no one doesn't have an opinion. So where are they going to stick that money? It'll be interesting to watch where they put it. I have an idea where they're going to put it. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. You want more information? Link is up in the show notes. All right, DEF CON is coming. They're planning to show how U.S. elections hacking is so easy the kids can do it. They're having an exploit contest. And so anyway, they're going to go after this again. Beginning on Friday, August 10th, teams in 3 age ranges, 8 to 11, 12 to 14, and 15 to 16, will be let loose on replica American government websites that report election results in elections in the Ukraine and Ghana. These were hacked to spread confusion about voting process. And basically, it's just so easy to hack these websites. We thought the grown-up hackers in the vote hacking village wouldn't find it interesting, so they're cutting some kids loose to do it. And so we'll see. We'll see how this is. It's going to be a 3-hour contest held on Friday and Saturday. So we'll see if we can follow up and see how they did. But we'll see. Congress allotted $380 million for election security after over a little decade. It saw little investment in that type of, basically in security and voting. But it's a magnitude lower than it needs to be. And it probably needs another comma in there to make a big dent in security and giving Department of Homeland Security and local officials the tools they need to lock down election machines and so forth. So, do you feel that your vote, when you register that vote, that it's going to end up in the system the way you designated? Maybe we should just go back to paper. Make us all go to a polling place. Can no longer vote from our app or from our desktop. I actually got my absentee ballot in here. It's laying around somewhere. I got to get it filled out and sent back. I vote by absentee every year or every election period. Matter of fact, I was asking someone on Facebook today. I had no idea any of the people that were running for city council. So I have a buddy that's on the in, and I said, here's the criteria I'm looking for. Who should I vote for? And he was lucky enough not just to tell me. He gave me a rundown on 3 or 4 of the candidates and said, there's some information for you to go choose. He was nice enough to do it. He didn't have to. But then when it comes to some of this local stuff, I have no idea. All right, NASA is talking about returning to the moon. Next year we should start seeing SpaceX and the Orion test capsule and so forth starting to go to the International Space Station. It's an exciting time. We're going to be back in the lift business of putting astronauts in space, and it's long overdue. So basically NASA's saying, hey, everything that we're going to do is going to be reusable. So if we want to go to the moon again, everything, the entire architecture between here and the moon has to be reusable. He says when the space program can reuse its rockets, spacecraft, deep space stations, and landers, it makes the program sustainable. What the White House does not want, he said, would be a program that spends a lot of money and sends humans to the moon a handful of times before retreating back into low Earth orbit and throwing all that stuff away. So you look at what SpaceX has done and reusability of first stage rockets, how they're now trying to get fairings, all this stuff that cost millions per lift. You recoup that, you rework it for a fraction of the cost, and you punch it back up there again. And but that said, the big rocket NASA's been in development since 2010. The Space Launch System is entirely expendable. It's going to cost $1 to $2 billion per launch, and we throw it all away. How stupid are we? But they're saying, hey, it's, you look at what SpaceX has done in their heavy lift, they're starting, they are getting the course, getting close to the Delta V capability. And so this is a good change, I think, at NASA. Make them follow the commercial routes leads and use our taxpayer dollars more wisely. All right, if you haven't used Google Pay, there's a great article about how to use it. I've been playing around with the Android device quite a bit. I haven't got to that point of playing with Google Play. I hardly use the Apple Pay anyway. But if you want information on Google Play, I have that up. Also, there's some tips on avoiding fake apps on mobile app stores. This is a good read for those of you that are exploring beyond the primary store. If you're going out and downloading PKXs, I think is what they're called, or PKKs from third parties, how you can be careful there that you don't get a bunch of malware on your phone. Also, a little new of a ranking here talking about what's going on in the home speaker market. Apple HomePod so far is only at 6% of the smart speaker market, which, considering the short amount of time I've been in space, is actually pretty good. But Amazon is still ruling the roost, per se, with their Alexa devices. And so a good rundown here of what's going on in the smart market space. But yeah, the Amazon devices are really rocking. Hey, how many of you shopped at a Brookstone lately? To be honest with you, I don't go to malls rarely anymore. If I do, I'm a typical guy. I go to the store I'm going to go for and I'm leave. But Brookstone is your techie gadget store. It just went bankrupt. And, it lasts a whole decade later than the Sharper Image. But they're gone. So, where are you going to find this cheap stuff? Well, Alibaba, the Chinese... the Chinese website, Alibaba, you can get cheap clothes and cheap toys and probably chemically bad for your kids. But, yeah, where are you going to get those cheaply made electronic toys now? I guess it all moves to Amazon. So Brookstone is done. And I don't know if they're going to reorg or just close. It's closing all. It's 101 stores. Hey, Windows 10 has continued to grow. It showed its third strong month of growth in a row, putting it on track to overtake veteran Windows 7 by November. According to California-based analytics vendor Net Applications, Windows 10 added 0.9% in July, posting a user share of 36.6% of all personal computers and 41.4% of those running Windows. So that's Windows 10 continues to march forward. On the few remaining Windows machines I have here, they're all on Windows 10. Also, kind of an interesting deal. We don't get like political text messages here. It just doesn't happen in Hawaii. They hold up signs and they wave at you when you're driving on the streets. They sign wave here. They don't text you. It's kind of a Hawaii thing, a little weird. And anyway, those of you in the lower 48 are probably getting text messages from an unfamiliar number. Did you know it's not illegal for them to do that as long as the person sending it to you actually hits send on the phone? They can have a software program pre-populate it, but they still have to physically click send, and it's legal. Well, I guess that's what a lot of campaign groups are doing. So they got people that are just sitting there all day. Hey, we're hiring minimum wage. This is a job everyone in the universe is qualified for. All you have to do is touch on your screen. You just hit send for your SMS message. That's all you got to do all day long. We're gonna pay you for that. People will be putting in for workman's comp because because of finger disabilities. But according to the folks that watch this on the political side and the reporting and all that, I guess it's legal. And the FTC is also basically said they're looking for public input. Meanwhile, you're going to get those messages from people you don't know and be annoyed. Speaking of phone etiquette, every time I go somewhere and someone is doing something stupid on their phone, like they're in a restaurant and they're talking loud and eating at the same time, or they're playing music, it runs the gambit. I've just turned into being this like give stink eye to someone when they do some of this stuff. It just drives me crazy. It really, really does. So there are some phone etiquette out there. If you need to remind someone in the office, it might be something good to print out and post for yourself. I should talk about this on the Microsoft stuff, but Microsoft Surface, you think about getting one? There's some really nice ones out there. The Microsoft Surface Pro starts at $799, but you can go much, much higher with that. But they've got a good article on which one to pick and how you should customize it and what the deltas there are, including the Microsoft Surface Book 2. So I have the link up in the show notes for you on that, on picking the right Microsoft Surface. I told you guys about the time that I got to see the Parasid meteorite shower, right? I was flying over Afghanistan, looking out the observer window with night vision goggles on, and was watching this meteorite shower that was, well, if someone had shot something from us from the ground, I wouldn't have seen it because I was looking out the window astonished. If you ever get a chance, I'm going to tell you, this night vision goggles is the best way to watch a meteorite shower, especially if you're in an area that's really, really dark. It's incredible. You'll see stuff that obviously, just little streaks coming in that you can't see with the naked eye. The best way to do it. But when it comes to meteorite showers, you got a big one coming up between August 11th and 13th. And this is a big one. This is one of the best opportunities in years. So if you're in some place that's relatively dark, with not a lot of sky pollution, this would be a good time to go out and sky watch. So I'll have the link up in the show notes on that, talk about times and so forth. If you're a Google Maps user, the Google Maps location sharing will now share your phone battery status. So if you send a pin to someone, it'll actually show you how much battery's left on the phone. So when they're trying to get an update and you only had 3% left, maybe they'll know that your phone actually went dead and can't send you an update. So anyway, this is a new feature to Google Maps when you opt to share your location in near real time with your close friends and family. So anyway, it gives you your battery status. On the web browser front, boy, oh boy, Chrome is just literally pounding sand into the rest of these browsers. They gained 4% global market share and everyone else has just continued to sink. IE, Edge, and Firefox are down, down, down. So it's really too bad. I'm a big Firefox fan of the past until they started having. I still had issues with them. I'm using Chrome exclusively now. If you do have Comcast, if you're in an area where Comcast is a provider, Comcast will add Prime Video to its Xfinity X1. So Xfinity TV customers will have access to Prime Video, as Comcast and Amazon announced today. The app will launch on the X1 in the near future. This move will give Xfinity users easier access to the Prime Video features, including series like Tom Clancy, The Marvelous, and Mr. Maisel, and so forth. So if you have that particular service, it is available to you. Paul's asking, do Chromebooks run the Chrome browser way better? I think so. I don't know. Usually those Chromebooks are a little underpowered. I'm sitting here luckily with an iMac Pro. So it's a little overkill for running a browser, just a browser. It's designed to do heavy lifting, but I would think so. I think they'd be optimized. All right, Facebook is offering educators lessons to teach kids online responsibility. Really? Facebook has released a batch of resources in its digital literacy library. The material guides educators helping people from people's age 11 to 18 to understand issues such as privacy, reputation, security, safety, identity exploration. Can someone from the audience go review this digital literacy library? I'd love really to know what they've really done here. Is it a pitch, or is it the real deal? Is this good content, so forth? Paul says, I got my wife a Chrome Flip and it rocks big time. Chromebook Flip. How many of you are using just a Chromebook? I think a lot of people just need a browser. My mom is getting ready to need another computer. She doesn't travel with the computer as much as she used to. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do is, my sister is purely a Mac user. And all the grandkids there are all Mac users. And my mom only uses a browser primarily. So I thought we'd buy her a Mac Mini for her desktop. She likes to have a desktop with a big monitor, get that set up for her. And then when she did travel, just let her travel with an iPad or an iPad Pro, something to that effect, so that she can do what she needs to on the road without humping a laptop around. And plus, I'm not there, so my sister can help her with Mac issues if something comes up. But I wonder if I can get away with just getting her or having her get just a tablet only. I don't know. I've got mixed thoughts on that. Have any of you went tablet only completely? There's a lot of value in desktops, I think. So Paul's dropping us links to this up in the chat in the live.geekcenter.com. He's dropping links to that Chromebook Flip for $49 was the price. Not bad. You're right. Okay. I ran into a little trouble on my last trip. I left out of here. I packed my suitcase like I normally do. I had enough clothes for a week, 3 suits or 3 sports jackets. I had everything packed in there and got to the airport, 65 pounds. I'm good to get on and then I'm thinking a couple of days later, I'm flying American Airlines from Philly to Detroit, and I'm not any status with American, and I'm only allowed 50 pounds. Fortunately, I had packed a garment bag and I was able to separate some stuff. But don't make this mistake. If you're flying 2 different carriers, you have status on one, make sure your bag weights are right. But $6 will get you an Amazon basic luggage scale. I've got the same exact one they're advertising on here. It's actually $6.49. Great deal. Link will be up in the show notes for you to check out. Also, the Moto Z3 specs versus the Galaxy X9 versus the iPhone 10. So a little bit of a comparison here. I have an article up on that on the mobile side. Also, the Acer Chromebook 13 and Chromebook Spin 13 arrive in September for $650. So the Chromebook Spin 13 is another device. I have that link up in the show notes for you to review. That came from Android Police. Also, smart speaker company Sonos. I'm a big fan of Sonos. Surges after their slow start in the IPO debut. They basically came on the market about $16, and they closed up about $19.90, almost $20, making their implied market value at $1.95 billion. So congratulations to Sonos today on their initial public offering and on the stock market. Also, if you're doing anything with Patreon had some problems. If you support folks on Patreon, some payments were flagged as fraud, so you may not be a Patreon anymore. So make sure you log into a Patreon account and make sure that those creators that you're supporting monthly you still are. So just a little bit of heads up there. We're going to wrap the show up here. I'm going to get the bada bing, bada boom. We're going to find and see if we had any comments come in. I don't think I had any appreciable email. And let's see here. Yes, Ken, thank you. Ken was basically let me know about the Insider. He says, I was trying to upgrade my Insider subscription from $2 to $5, but it won't let me. If you click on 5, it plugs in 10, not 5. So yeah, I've got to get in there and figure out why that embed is not working. So I definitely appreciate the increase, Ken, from $2 to $5 when you can get it done, when I can get it fixed. That might explain a couple of things. No one else has complained, and I haven't touched that page in a while. So if you want to contribute $2, $10, $15, $20, or $25, geeknewscentral.com/insider until I get it fixed where you can actually do the $5. So thank you, Ken. And also there's a way there to do a one-time donation. We get those from time to time, and definitely thank everyone that does that as well. Really, the Insider program is a core of what will make this show sustainable long term. If we get enough people, even if 10% of this listening audience come in, just imagine this: if 10% of you come in at the $2 level, it would be amazing. It really would be amazing. I mean, big time amazing on what we could accomplish here if just 10% of you came in at $2. All right, that's going to wrap me up here. Paul's binging me away here on the, what about CastBox? Paul, I can't watch everything. I'm sorry. So if you ask me about something on CastBox, it's already off the screen. I find the best guided podcast is on CastBox for Android app. I'm promoting Google Podcasts now. It's a most simple way to get a podcast on an Android device. It's right on your home screen. All you do is go into Google search for a show. It'll come right up in the Google Podcast app. You click and add it to your home screen. You're forevermore subscribed to the podcast right on your desktop or right on your mobile device. CastBox has not even broke 1/2% globally on Pocket Cast is still by far the number one app out there, by far on third-party apps with Apple Podcasts continuing. I know that the CastBox Fox spent $150,000 at least for the Party at Podcast movement. They've got a lot of VC that they're burning right now, and they are burning a lot of cash right now with I don't know how they're going to monetize. So when companies are burning that kind of money at that quick of a rate, I have absolutely no confidence that they'll be around for the long haul. They're going to burn through their money and then it'll go away. And that's happened to so many apps out there. But the initiatives with Google Podcasts right now are huge. And I'm going to continue to, no one searches for podcasts in podcast apps. That's just not a function of what people do in podcast apps. Everything that we see is people look for specific shows on their web pages and subscribe to them. All right. Going to get everyone out of here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for all the commentary tonight. Everyone, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. At Twitter is @geeknews. We'll be back here on Monday for another show. And we actually went normal time tonight. How about that? Everyone take care. We'll see you next time on the Geek News Center podcast. Everyone take care. Aloha.